morning, everybody. I'm Evelyn Thoren. I am your host for the next hour on the Dawn Patrol. And then at 7 o'clock, we switch off and we're on City Life. And so we have Dr. Jay Lang coming in. He's the superintendent of schools in Chelmsford. Chelmsford starts next week as the first day back. So we'll see how that goes. It's staggered. They don't go Friday. They don't go Monday. And then they start up right after Labor Day to as a regular school year, but they have those extra 3 days in there in case we have snow days, which is fine, and it has to be part of a contract. But I gave Jay a whole list of different things that we may talk about this morning, which normally I don't do, but I want to try to be a little bit more focused.
He never has any trouble.
I just have to hit him with one
Carrying
question,
on the,
and it's 10
exactly,
minutes.
and then you're all set for the rest of the time.
I'm not worried. I just want to cover the territory. That's about where I'm at. Sam Chase is my co-host this morning. John McDonough will be behind the camera, sometimes on the camera. You may hear his voice in the background. Bob Hoey is still not with us. He's at Spalding Rehab, and so we hope at some point that he will come back. We're still having, prayers for him for that massive heart attack that he had, and then he had some other issues. At least he doesn't have COVID. He was tested for that.
Well, that's good.
Many times that is something that, you pick up along the way because people are either not taking care of themselves or they just don't care. Luckily, it's not a strain that would cause issues. Probably mine.
Oh,
Those are yours. I have mine in my pocket.
it fell off my thing. Oh, boy, thank you. I
Okay.
wouldn't get out of here without those.
Well, then we'd look for them, wouldn't we?
Well, I hope so.
Yeah.
Well, thank God for gravity.
Yeah, exactly, good point.
Good old gravity.
Yeah, if we didn't have gravity, we'd be in trouble.
Well, I used to be amused. My mother would come and visit when the kids were little, and she always had to sweep the floor. She swept rugs. She swept almost anything. And
Well,
she'd
that was
bring me the
before
dust.
vacuum cleaners, right?
Oh, no. No.
We had a carpet sweeper, you remember those?
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, we had one of those too. I didn't own, I don't remember if I owned one when I was first married, probably. But anyway, she'd take the dustpan and she'd go, "Look how much more dirt I got off the floor." I said, "Ma, if you go back and redo it again, I'm certainly sure you're going to find as much. It's called gravity."
Yeah, there's not, yeah.
She never did it again. So.
Never did what, swept?
No.
That must
came
have
and
been a
showed me
dirty
how-
house. Oh.
No,
okay.
my house
All right.
was not as dirty as hers.
Holman did it and said, "Oh my God." That was right.
We have one of those automatic, what are they called? The little things that,
Oh, you have a Roomba.
a Roomba, that's it. And it was given to us, my daughter gave it to us for a Christmas present, I don't know, maybe 6, 7 years ago. And I thought to myself, this is the dumbest thing I ever saw.
But it works.
It can't possibly do anything. And boy, when I'm wrong, I'm wrong. Boy, was I wrong. That thing works like a charm. I mean, and the good thing about it is it goes under chairs and things like that, which, of course, you typically don't move your furniture every time when you vacuum.
Well, that depends.
Well, once in a while you might, but not every day. And this thing picks up an ungodly amount of dirt, and it works very effectively. And if you live on one level the way we do, then it's really very effective. Most people have
As the hurricane's going by,
second and
and I'm
third
just going to
stories.
call your attention to the beautiful cloud formations we're seeing go off to the east
Yeah.
this morning.
I wish we had gotten a little more
Mother
rain.
Nature's beautiful stuff.
It certainly is.
Yes, it was 56 degrees when I came in this morning.
Yes.
A little on the chilly side, but that is because of the hurricane going by. I did see some pictures, there was some pictures and things that was on Facebook of the houses going into the water and they're on stilts. The Outer Banks, I think, got really hit
That
quite
could
hard.
that could almost be stock footage,
that
couldn't it?
wagon.
I mean, every time you have a hurricane, you always have that situation.
Right, but it looked like it was a different house this time around. And there were several different reels that was out there, so I would just suggest that you go on the Weather Channel.
Yes.
And take a look at that. If you have Comcast, it's 47, it'll go to the upper levels also. I looked at it last night before I went to sleep, but there really wasn't much. They were just reporting on things, but you didn't have any dramatic footage. Now, in Virginia Beach, they had some kind of surfing championship, but they were being cautious even about that, with who was in the water, who wasn't in the water. They made sure that the beaches were clear and clean of any kind of stuff that, if the waves got too high, didn't have to worry about
Apparently
it.
There'll be a
we're
lot
Pick it
of
all up.
eye candy at the beach no matter where you go this weekend. So I hope we can make it down there, because I'd love to watch the angry seas.
The angry sea. Well, we're not going to apparently get a direct hit. It looks like,
It's 300 miles away.
right, it's going to veer off to
Yes,
the.
but it's very large.
Yes, that's what they
They said
said.
it was like 500 miles across.
That's much bigger than normal.
Much like the big bad wolf, it can huff, it can puff. But it
Right,
can't
well,
blow your
it's-
house down.
Well, it's not going to blow anything down because it's out to sea. But this other one's
Thank
coming
God for
along
that.
behind it.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, get out of here.
So we'll see. I'm not overly concerned about any of
We're
it.
in hurricane season.
Right, and I told Glenn, I says, depending on the tracks of everything, one of us stays at one house and one of us stays at the other house in case there's an emergency.
Good system.
But I don't know if he'll do that. It's very interesting as far
I
as
depend on my
what goes
neighbors.
on.
My neighbors call me up and tell me there's a problem. Like the other day, the Dixie chicks decided to go up to Maine to go to go shopping with two of my granddaughters, and they left all the windows open. I get a phone call on my cell from one of my neighbors. Hey, it's pouring down here. Your windows are wide open. I says, thanks for calling, but they're up in Maine. They're going to have to clean up the mess when they get home. And said, I checked the radar. The radar looked good. There was nothing coming when I said, okay. It is what it is. No worries. So they just got the towels out. The three chicks got the towels out, dried everything up. Good.
When I leave, regardless of where I'm at, my windows go down, my
Yes.
doors get locked.
Yes.
I double check everything,
Well,
and
we-
in
we
case I
don't
don't
do
come
that.
back.
We don't do that.
Okay.
When we go
apparently.
off for the day, when they go down the beach, they leave all the windows open. It's kind of like the second floor.
It doesn't matter. I shut all, I have second floors on both houses.
Oh, no. We get
I shut everything. It's just a matter of.
beautiful salt
Well,
insulin in the house. I
security.
love it.
Security.
Oh, yeah, well, that's where I'm
That's
at. But-
because you grew up in Quincy.
Yeah, I told Glenn, I said, I still have the bars left over from my uncle's house that we can put on the
There you
basement
go.
windows if we wanted to, but everything seems to be more secure because everything is new.
Now, if
Well,
you come
since
from,
cameras came out, cameras have helped out much more than
But
bars.
we have quite a few of that,
Much
quite a
more
few
than
cameras,
bars.
all different kinds, to monitor everything. So we're working on trying to get everything done for having a three-season room. We're redoing the deck and everything up at the other
Bars
house.
can cause structural damage.
Pardon me?
Bars can cause structural damage because you're not there. They decide they're going to get in. They take a chain, attach it to their pickup truck, and the other end to your bars, and they drive the pickup truck up the driveway, pulling the bars right off the house.
It doesn't matter. It's a deterrent for some people that aren't thinking like that.
right,
Now when they know you, cameras are better. Cameras up there go like, they're videoing me taking the chain out of the truck.
Yeah, well, and we also have the signs
Video's
that
good.
says house under surveillance. And we've got them everywhere in both places.
Yeah,
And they
video's
do
good.
alert you.
well, I think that's a deterrent.
And the other
When you
thing is
see that.
lights.
Right,
With the solar lights and that, it makes
Hmm.
it easier because now you don't have to have all those wires and switches.
right, right.
So there's an awful lot of solar lights everywhere and different things that will come on like floodlights. I mean, it could blind you. That's how bright they are. But that's just the way
I like
life is.
motion lights.
Well, some
motion
of it's
lights.
infrared. But the motion, you have, we have them, and if the wind blows and the leaves move, that's motion. The light goes off and on all the time.
At least it's not costing you anything
There's a service for some of it.
with the lights I'm talking about.
Oh, no, the lights don't.
Right.
Unless you get the lights that's connected to the service, and then you have the camera that comes
Well,
on
the
at the
new
same
ones are
time.
heat sensitive, so the wind can blow all at once.
Yes, yeah, when you have infrared, it's a little different, but it doesn't really matter. There was an article, there were several articles I thought that was kind of interesting. One I read this morning, which I didn't expect you guys to pick up on unless you know about it. I'm thinking that with all of the stuff
Just
going
catch it
on
at sunrise. Go ahead.
with the market basket, that must be the the western edge of that storm. Those
Yeah.
are all clouds.
Clouds are gorgeous.
Yeah. The,
Here comes Mr. Sunshine.
anyway, so with all the stuff going on with the Market Basket, I'm wondering whether or not that motivated Stop and Shop to lower the prices at their,
Did they?
yeah, there
Oh.
was an article that said Stop and Shop was lowering the prices.
Good.
But in the article, I sent it this morning, John, I thought it was very interesting.
Well, after the sunrise.
Pardon me?
After the sunrise, I'll put your article.
Well, call up the Stop and Shop article and see
That's
what
what
it
I'm going to do,
says.
see what it is. Let's see if we have that. And then there was another thing I wanted, we were talking about weather, so we're going to wait until the sun comes over those clouds. But when we were talking about the weather, I had sent an article about the Farmer's Almanac. Everybody be prepared in case we have a very snowy, cold winter. And there's a lot of articles out there. The Farmer's Almanac is predicting that, but they're also showing with all the different jet streams how the Northeast will be impacted. So everybody needs to be prepared in case we have significant snowfall versus just having snow. And when everybody complains about the weather as far as rain goes, at least you don't have to shovel it, and we don't have to put out salt so that we have to be aware of being slippery. However, when you see the pictures of hurricanes, that's a lot of water.
Yes, it is.
So we don't have to worry about that piece. Let's see. Okay, this is it. So it was Boston 25 News that talked about the Stop and Shop, where they, it was interesting, what caught my attention immediately was the fact that the article was written from Quincy, Mass. Quincy's where I grew up, and I know where the
Isn't that where Stop and Shop is based?
I didn't ask that question, but Stop and Shop started in Somerville.
Oh, Somerville, all right.
So I did look
Oh,
that
I
up,
thought it
because
was
I was like,
Quincy.
I wonder where that is, and it only took like seconds. Excuse me. But anyway, it said it was going to cut prices on thousands of items at 88 stores across eastern Mass. Quincy has two Stop and Shops. One's on Southern Artery, and the other one is in North Quincy. I'm trying to think of the name of the street.
Well, if any business, I mean, supply and demand, free market, any business cuts prices, it's because they're feeling competitive pressure from their competitors. Otherwise, there's no reason to cut prices.
Well, when I read, it says read more.
Yeah.
Excuse me. It said, they gave some examples. I was amused. That's what I was going to have John put up. It talks about rotisserie chicken. So you roll that down, because,
You're talking about chickens that are already cooked?
yes.
All right, because
rotisserie. So you
that's a
read
good deal.
more.
That's a good deal at Market Basket.
Yeah, they're $4.69.
Right.
I don't know how big the ones are.
We're stuck with these ads, they just keep popping up.
Well, you just hit read more. I did that on my phone. I got
That's-
the rest of the article.
That's pretty.
Okay, genius, read more about the ad, are we gonna get?
No, I
I'm gonna
hit
guess we're
read
gonna
more,
get
and I
read
had more about the.
ad.
There's a button down there that
Yeah,
says
just hit
more.
read more, and if it comes up incorrectly, then we'll just
There you
move
go.
on. There's the rest of your,
Along with those, look at those nice shoes. The Otho Trail shoes, along with the cops. Okay.
so see,
Here we
here's
go.
this list.
All
So
right.
when we're making a comparison of different things, the Stop and Shop rotisserie chicken, yep, $7.99. It's been like that for at least 10 years.
Now it's
Well, if they wanna
$6.49.
grab some of Market Basket's business, now's the time to do it.
This is-
Well, yeah, but Market Basket has their rotisserie chickens for $4.69.
Right.
And
It's a
if
good deal.
and
You
if-
can't
and-
beat it.
And they have the big ones, like the Purdue Oven Stuffed
Well, who's
Roasters for
cheaper?
10.
Market Basket.
However, for price per pound, the cheapest is Sam's Club, if you belong to Sam's Club. It's $4.99, and you get like a Purdue Oven Stuffed Roaster.
So it's a bigger chicken.
It's a huge chicken in comparison. I don't know about the Stop and Shop ones, because I haven't been in there. But the Market Basket ones are usually only good for one meal, maybe two, because it's a small chicken.
Those
How
are
long
the-
do you think it's gonna take Market Basket to become more expensive than Stop and Shop?
I don't know.
Because they got rid of.
To the end of the year? If they get
got
rid,
rid of-
yeah, they'll have to bring their prices up, because that's what, they're gonna have to have a bigger margin. So now if you go further down and everything, no, on the list. So you've got a Stop and Shop brand pasta, the 99 cents, that's not too bad, because the Market Basket is 4 for
How does
$5.
it taste?
I don't know. It all tastes the same to me because
Pasta's
of what I do to
pasta.
it.
Oh, you say. So you've never had lousy pasta, Sam?
I don't think so.
Now, when they say Stop and Shop brand ice cream, all right, was $3.79, now $3.39. Well, if it was $2.99, they'd be competing with Market Basket for their brand, unless
how's
you get
the
their
taste?
premium ice cream.
How's the taste?
I don't know. I personally don't always buy Market Basket brand. I don't go to the Stop and Shop. And then there's Friendlies. There's all kinds. There's all kinds of ice cream.
You
out
know, my wife she's a consummate grocery shopper. I've never seen anything like it. I tell people she saves us at least $3,000 or $4,000 a year, and she has it. She knows where the bargains are. So when she shops, probably about 80% of her shopping in a week is Market Basket, and then maybe 15% is Costco, and then maybe 5% is Stop and Shop.
I hardly ever go to Stop and
She
Shop.
goes to all three places because there are some things, even without these price drops, there are some things that are consistently less expensive at Stop and Shop, okay? And she knows, and it's just amazing. And one thing I learned, I don't do any shopping, but the very few times that I would go with her to Costco, I'd say, oh, look, here's a large quantity of whatever it is you're looking for. That's more expensive than if I buy the regular size at Market Basket. So you have to be careful when you go to a place like Costco or Sam's Club, because it isn't always true that the bulk items are cheaper. You have to calculate the cost per ounce or per pound or whatever the measure is.
They have the little marker.
They're supposed to.
Well, when you go to Costco, they have the 3 refrigerators. They have the plastic around them, so you have to buy 3 refrigerators at a time.
Yeah.
That's what I like about Costco.
Most of it's, quantity.
Yeah,
but
you have to be careful, because
Right.
it's not always true that the larger quantity of the item is going to yield a lower price overall. It's not always true.
Right, so you have to do your math.
Exactly.
I remember when my oldest grandson, he's now 17, was probably, I think, 3 or 4, or whatever, or maybe he was in kindergarten. He didn't feel well. She had to go to work, so I took him. I took him shopping with me. We went to Walmart for something. And so I said, let's use this as a teaching experience. So I showed him how to read those labels. And as we went around, I said, of these two things, as you look at this, what do you think you should buy? He learned fast on the money aspect of things.
That's good.
And so he
So
told
what
me.
did he learn?
He learned that certain brands are cheaper than other brands. Then I talked to him about quality. I said, I want you to note, you see here how cheap this is, and this is more expensive. But this, if it was paper, like toilet paper or paper towels or whatever, I said, but you have more layers over here than you do over here, so you have more absorbency, so you lose less of this product. So it was another layer of understanding. And then he understood what that was.
I would say right to your face, Evelyn, that Haagen-Dazs is much better than Stop and Shop ice cream.
Oh, I'm sure.
And I would say Grandma's too cheap to buy you a Haagen-Dazs. That's why we have Stop and Shop ice cream.
Well, I was comparing apples and apples. And the apples and apples is the...
Quality has a lot to do with...
I'm talking about the store brand.
Buy the cheapest hamburger.
The store
and die
brand Stop
young.
and Shop ice cream is more expensive than the store brand Market Basket. I wasn't talking about the quality of how it tastes.
And it's funny, it could be that they get it from the same place, too.
I don't know.
No, I don't either, but it's possible.
Now, there's some things that you also have to take into consideration. First of all, Haagen-Dazs is usually in a pint, and it's very expensive. And as far as my husband goes...
It's not very expensive.
Well, it is if you sit and you eat a whole carton of ice cream in 2
God.
days.
Well, if that's your style, Evelyn.
Well, it isn't my style.
I'll tell you something.
But some people do that.
I will
and-
tell you something I do know about Haagen-Dazs ice cream,
Go ahead.
okay? Several years ago, I used to subscribe to Consumer Reports. I don't anymore, but I did at one time.
I did too, yeah, that was a good magazine.
And, well, it used to be a good magazine. Now it's a left-wing political advocacy rag, okay? But in the old days, it was a good magazine.
Well, they kept to what they were
And
supposed to do.
exactly. And they rated ice cream, okay? And one of the brands was Haagen-Dazs. So I always wondered what Haagen-Dazs meant, because it looks like a foreign language. It looks like maybe it's Scandinavian. So Consumer Reports said, in the article, they said, it is a totally made-up name. It doesn't mean anything. So I just thought I'd throw that out
Well,
there.
Ben and Jerry, same thing.
Yeah, well, but you understand Ben and Jerry are actual names. What is a Hagen and what is a Daz? Nobody knows because they're made up, right?
Okay, today's birthday boy is
Oh,
Rodney.
happy
Elliott.
birthday.
I already wished him a happy birthday this morning on Facebook.
How old
Obviously, I
how
wasn't
old is
paying
he?
it- Oh, since you got here,
Pardon me?
did you do it on the show?
No, I did it on Facebook.
How old is he? Do we know?
He turns 80 today. No, he's probably like 50.
80. Jeez. I don't think so. If that's 80, boy, I'll tell you, he looks pretty good.
No, he's no way. I'm just making that up.
Yeah.
I'll see if
50?
it's,
Yeah, that's probably
50
about right.
probably. I don't know.
Well, today's my oldest son's wedding anniversary. Happy anniversary.
How many years married?
Well, you had to ask, didn't you?
I did.
I think it's like 22.
Really? Good for them.
I'll tell you, because Matthew got married so next year will be Matthew's, that's my youngest one. He'll be married 20 years next year.
Really?
Yes.
Gee, I remember going to his wedding.
Rodney's doesn't say how old he is.
He doesn't? Well,
I don't recall.
No,
It's
you
either
can-
21 or 22
you can
years.
look
Another
him up.
local guy, Bob Montgomery, it's his birthday too.
you can look him up in the city directory.
And then my middle son will be married 16 years in a week and a half. So, anyway,
Well, they should all get together and celebrate their anniversaries in one party.
yeah, we had one July, one August, and
Yeah.
one September.
There you go.
Not in the same year. That was a good thing. Not in the same year. I mean,
Let's
when my
see.
sister and I got married one year, she got married the next year. My mother had a fit because it was so much work for her,
Allison's been
supposedly.
married 15 years.
It's hard to remember. You got 9 kids. You got to remember grandchildren. You got to remember all their birth dates.
Well, I can remember my daughter's wedding anniversary because it was 10-10-10, okay? October 10th, so October's the 10th month of the year, right? So October 10, and then the day was the 10th of October, and it was 2010, okay? So that's how we remember that, and that's why she picked the date, so that her husband would never forget the anniversary date. Thought that was pretty interesting.
I don't think the
Yeah.
kids pick, the only reason I think Matthew picked the July is because all the different companies he worked for there was always a vacation for his anniversary. So,
Well,
in July.
we picked, my wife and I picked, or I suggested, and she agreed, June 30th, because that was my parents' wedding anniversary, and it was my grandparents' wedding anniversary, and I said, if we get married on June 30th, I will never forget the date. She said, okay.
The end of the fiscal year.
Exactly, and she said, sold, okay. Anything that'll help you remember the date, she was in favor of. So
Well, Glenn and
that's-
I got married in April, and the only reason where we got married in April was I taught school. And so,
You got married during the vacation?
yes, during
There you
April
go.
vacation. Yep. So
That
because
makes
I wasn't
sense.
waiting until June to do that. So that was how that worked.
Well,
But
plus,
anyway, we wish him
Plus, it wasn't too hot. Sometimes it can be hot. When we got married on June 30th, it was excruciatingly hot, and there was no air conditioning.
Well, my sister, who is no longer married, also got married on August 21st. And it was so hot that day in 1976 that one of the groomsmen fainted
Wow, that's hot.
in the middle of the wedding.
That's hot.
And today it's 56. And I'm certainly sure she remembers all of that. So anyway, I thought it was interesting again with the Stop and Shop going to begin to lower prices. We'll see if the prices
Yeah,
go up at Market
interesting.
Basket. I haven't seen too much change relative to the store wanting to raise prices. I've seen changes in prices because of demand or because of environmental issues or, the viruses with the chicken prices have gone up. The meat prices are up not because of any particular political issue. The meat prices, well, I shouldn't say that. The meat prices are up because there's not as many, what do you call, cattle, because of the ranches, they're buying up all of the
Supply and
land
demand, you can't beat it.
Yep, and then different things that has happened
Right.
with regard to breeding procedures and what-
Gasoline's going up because we're using it.
Supply and demand.
Yeah. Among
Once the
other
kids are back in
things.
school, the gasoline prices will drop.
Yeah. So then there was an article I thought that was of interest because there was something on the news about truckers. And part of it was related to the illegal immigrant that came in and had a license, I was assuming from California, and ended up killing a couple of people, but they didn't talk
I think
about
it was
the
Washington State.
Yeah, they had, wherever it was, they did not, it may not have been his fault that he hit them, but he didn't have,
He didn't meet the credentials for getting a CDL. He couldn't even read, all right? They gave him a test and asked him to read 4 or 5 road signs, and he couldn't.
Was he driving up from Mexico?
No, he was a resident in Washington State, and he
I
got
thought he had a California license.
I thought it was Washington. Well, you can look it up. All right, we'll
I
see.
will.
We'll see. West
But-
Coast.
Oh, I don't have
Okay.
his thing.
West-
What
West
I have
Coast.
Well, look,
is,
Ev, what's the meat of the article? I don't care where he has driver's license from.
well, if he's an illegal alien, he shouldn't be having the driver's license, but that's beside the point. So the point of the article
Never mind.
was the fact that you have a lot of truckers that are bringing product from Mexico into the United States, but they're not going back. And they have the rigs, and there are plates on it that say, that they're from Mexico, but a lot of the highway patrolmen aren't picking up on that. And there's so many of them now, they are competing with truckers that are Americans, and they're undercutting them on their costs. So there is a competition with regard to.
That's been going on for a long time.
Right, but there was this article, and it's a result, I think the article was a result basically of whatever was going on with the accidents that are occurring with people that aren't supposed to be here. But they were talking about that, and you had the American Truckers Association, or whatever it was that they had, were trying to get more attention to their plight, and that is that they're not getting the work because you've got other people coming in and trying to undercut them. So that article was from CDL Life.
Well, did the
And
state police
it's a
take
B1
credit for
visa.
just overlooking this?
B1
Because
is a
when I'm
work
driving
visa.
around to, I went to Virginia a couple of weeks ago,
They're good
Drove
for a year.
down, drove
B1 is
back.
good for 1 year.
the weigh stations are closed.
Most,
Why are the weigh stations, that's where they check everything.
right.
They weigh your truck. Okay, buddy, give me your driver's license. Oh, no comprende. Oh, okay.
Most of the vehicles are overweight when they check
And
them.
so that's where we screw up. The cops don't have the weigh stations open. We depend on the government to keep us safe, and the government's just plain old falling down on their duty. What do you want us to do? Find these guys and take these trucks off the road. That's what we want
Well,
you
I'll
to do.
tell you what the first thing is. If I were the dictator or the czar of transportation, the first thing I would do is I would get rid of these 48-footer and 53-footer trucks. Years ago, the maximum length allowed was 40 feet, okay? That was it. 30 years ago, you didn't have anything more than 40 feet on the road. And you get a 53-footer, and the longest one that you can have is 56, because you're allowed to run two 28s in tandem, okay? That is dangerous, okay? 40 feet is enough, okay?
Anyway,
It's enough.
what's interesting is that the person that's called the attention to this
Yeah.
is originally from Cuba, and he is a legal American citizen.
A legal American,
That's
not
yep.
illegal. Okay.
Yep.
A legal,
And he wants
okay.
them to, there's a misuse of the B1 visas, and it's not
Yep.
just Mexico, it's also Canada.
Why doesn't it say U.S. citizen? What is the legal citizen?
Because he may not be, he may have a green card, okay? That's a legal resident,
He's a
but he's
legal
not.
resident, not a citizen.
Right,
So,
So the article says he's a legal citizen.
well, that's what he's,
a legal
well,
citizen.
it's an interview.
Isn't that what it says?
Yeah.
Well, then
It's right
whoever.
at the beginning.
Then whoever wrote that
What
article
nincompoop
is an
wrote that
idiot.
article?
Right.
Yeah, well, anyway,
Make him
and,
As opposed to an illegal citizen,
We'll make
right?
them a truck driver.
A legal citizen.
so
I love
the
it.
guy must have created his own trucking company. He said he
Yeah.
lost three trucks because he can't compete between Canada and Mexico when they stay here.
Right.
He says they're putting Americans out of business.
What are they doing with the trucks?
I have no idea. I would assume
Oh.
they're selling them, because what else can you do with them?
Right.
You can't sell somebody else's truck.
He owns the trucks. He's got a trucking
If he
company.
owns the truck, he can.
He can sell
yeah.
his own truck.
Never mind, turn the page. I no longer care.
That's okay, fine. So I'm just going through and seeing there was an article, and I think it was on Facebook, and I copied it and sent it to you. Thieves are hiding Apple AirTags on cars to track you and how to spot and stop them. So there is an article out there from WMUR, and you want to make sure that you take a look at that.
What is it they're tagging?
They're tagging your car, find out where you live.
Oh,
Under and behind the license plate, inside the gas tank door, deep in the wheel well or behind the rims. And you can get where are we here? There we are. We can get an app.
you see all these articles and then you wonder why people never leave their house.
Well,
Everybody's
Well, they don't
afraid,
go- well, they don't
everybody's
go very
afraid to go
far.
outside or get in their car and, you know.
so iPhone users, you'll get an AirTag found moving with you alert if one is traveling with you. And if you do that, you can open and it says find me and the map will locate it. Android uses, the app is Tracker Detect. And so that would be helpful. So if you think that there's any possibility with regard to that, then you can do that.
So what you can do is when you find the AirTag, drive around the back of Market Basket,
Put on a
find
truck.
a trucker with Texas plates and put that tracker on his truck.
There you go.
Now, one of the things that John had texted me was that there was he wanted to discuss about a cross that caught fire during Mass in Dallas. That was all, according to Snopes anyway,
How
and
did it
other
catch fire?
sites, it is not authentic and it is
Not true.
AI. It's not true.
Okay.
So I looked that up and that's what it says. And there was
I will call the rectory today.
Well, I sent you the article, so
Yeah.
you can send them
Call
there.
the church, they'll tell you.
Call the church. Did that really happen? No. Thank you for letting me know.
Well, hopefully that's what Snopes did.
Well, I'm just telling you that they said that,
Snopes is not 100% reliable.
that's correct. But,
They may not, but they are not 100, they are not.
so in the
100%
article,
reliable.
it says, the only view of the alleged fire showed the perspective from a parishioner's handheld camera or smartphone and no footage from security cameras.
Well, that's
So there were other cameras that were there
That's
and it didn't show it.
suspect immediately.
Yes. And the original post was on TikTok. So everybody can look that up if they're interested
I'll
in.
go find it.
in
And
that-
I will show our audience.
Yep.
Flaming Cross in Texas.
And-
I just find the stuff that I look at occasionally with the AI is just so inaccurate. It's just so inaccurate, okay? And if people are relying 100% on AI, don't do it. I mean, check the sources and go elsewhere and cross-check the information because, you know, it's just the stuff that I read all the time and I research and that I'm knowledgeable about, I find the AI can be very, very inaccurate.
Well, there's a lot.
Yeah.
You got to be careful, and you got to cross-check everything.
You do.
So one of the other articles, why they're talking about it now, I'm not sure. It's a little early.
Okay, here we are, kids.
Okay. let me
Cross
get
caught
this.
fire.
Here we go on YouTube.
There you go. It's a miracle.
June 15th, 2025. And Snopes says this didn't happen. Good old Snopes.
Well, there were other
Let's go
articles.
back. Go back one. This guy. Facebook.
And that says security cameras captured everything. But did it?
It's coming at the speed of the internet. Here we go.
Does Snopes say why they say it's not accurate?
Yeah, they had other issues. It had something to do with placement. But everybody can check it out as far as what it would be.
They're not going to bother.
The other point that Snopes,
We're showing it now, so.
right, the other point that Snopes made was, if it really happened, don't you think that the news media would have picked it up?
Instagram. We'll go to what our friends at Instagram. I know, just, why do you do this?
Because it's a pain. But we can look up some more information. All I know is I looked it up and there were several articles that said that it was
My
fake.
question to you guys is, there you are in church and you see this spectacle. Do you put more on the collection plate that day, or?
Good question.
Back to you guys. Down in Texas. So if you're down in Texas, pop into is it St. Mary's, Texas?
I don't know.
You said it was Dallas, it was in Dallas?
Yeah, someplace in Dallas. Anyway, that was something that you wanted me to take a look at. And I did. And I sent you that article. And then,
So the moral of that story is
Catholic Church.
don't have a wooden cross, have a metal cross.
yes, but it
Right.
didn't destroy the cross.
Oh, well, and so
It-
in other words, it was a miracle, right?
Well, yeah, it
It
encompassed.
was like the
but-
burning bush.
Yes,
Okay, there you go.
but it didn't talk at you.
Churches have Jesus on the cross.
Yes, they did.
Yes, it's a crucifix.
I
There-
thought
there
this
was one
did.
on there.
Yeah,
I
I
thought
thought
there
this
was-
one did. Yeah, I think so.
I missed that.
All right, so one of the other things that I found in an article, it says, when do the clocks fall back in 2025? And that's the first Sunday in November, in case anybody wanted to know. And so how do you tell fall back, spring ahead? That was easy enough for me. They also said in 2026, daylight savings time starts on Sunday, March 8th, in case anybody's interested in that.
It seems like they keep moving it back. Am I
I
right
think
or
that-
wrong?
I don't know. I'm not tracking it
Didn't
because
years ago, it used to be later than March 8th? I think so. Didn't it? I don't know.
I don't remember. I know
Yeah.
it was always like in November, so the.
Well, for the fall.
Yes, and it said it started in 1918.
Talking about daylight savings,
Yes.
isn't Trump going to get rid of that?
He
I hope
wants to, but
I hope so.
it may not happen. But anyway, it was started in 1918, and it was meant to lower fuel costs
Yep.
during the First World War, and it allowed the federal government to establish 5 time zones. They stopped observing it after World War I, but re-implemented it during World War II.
They went on
And then
wartime in World War II, 2
And they
hours.
decided to make it permanent
Right.
from 1973 to 1975 to conserve energy during the oil embargo. It was repealed in 1974, being popular and ineffective. And then there was a whole pile of other stuff. So if
But
anybody
not-
likes to know all the
not-
history with regard to daylight savings times, you can
Not
look it up.
not every place in the U.S. observes it. So a lot of cities that are right on the timelines. For example, Indianapolis, Indiana is on the timeline. They don't do daylight saving.
Well, it says Hawaii and parts of Arizona don't participate
Correct.
either. The Navajo Nation, which spans across Arizona, Utah, and New Mexico, does, making it the lone participant in Arizona. And
That's got to be confusing.
the territories of American Samoa, Guam, Northern Mariana Islands, Puerto Rico, and the Virgin Islands don't observe
Right.
daylight savings time.
A lot of places don't. Again, generally it's where you fall.
And the correct term is daylight saving time, not daylight
Savings.
savings time.
All
There's
right.
no S in it.
There you go.
And it's not ending permanently yet, and they have been talking about it. And
This year, we're going to have to change the clocks.
Right.
yes, yep, and so you have a Uniform Time Act, it has to be repealed. And so until that happens, we still have daylight savings
When
time.
are we going to change the clocks out this year?
The first Sunday in November.
There you go.
Yeah, but I mean, it was on Yahoo News. I thought that was,
Go to back to school, get your kid a little flashlight to stand at the bus stop.
then there was, don't forget that if you're in a certain age bracket, there's a bill that changes how you get your license. I haven't tried it yet,
In Mass?
everywhere.
Okay, what
It's
is it?
federal. I think it says federal.
That's a
Well,
state.
this one is Illinois,
I was going to say, it's not a federal
and-
function.
but it
it's a
is in
state-
Massachusetts.
It's a state function.
so the article I sent was Illinois, and it talks about everything else, but there's a lot of articles out there with regard to the state that you live in, so you want to check that. And it said that drivers aged 79 and 80 take a road exam when their 4-year license renewal is up. That ought to be fun. I think that it's younger people that have more issues with driving than older people, unless you live in Florida.
Well, I'm almost 80, and I'll tell you, I'm in favor of that. If they tell me,
I don't really care.
if they tell me I have to take a test, I will take the test, no problem.
The only, I don't mind doing any of that. The
Yep.
problem is the inconvenience of making
Right.
a
It ain't gonna
appointment,
happen.
going, doing that.
It ain't gonna happen.
I agree with you.
Well, right now,
They've been talking about this for almost 50
yes,
years.
but they signed it into law.
We'll see.
Well, you know how we're gonna see? Is because I have to
Evelyn,
renew my
Evelyn,
license.
You know the law is 65 miles an hour on the highway, right? We don't respect the laws like we used to.
Well, when you go to get a license, or you have to register your car, you have to follow whatever the statutes are.
Depends if you know the clerk.
Because you don't have a
I go down to
choice.
the- I go
You have
down
a
to
choice
the-
on whether or not you're gonna speed, but you don't have a choice on whether or not you can get your license.
I'm gonna talk now. Are you ready?
I'm ready, go.
Okay. When I get on the registry of motor vehicles, if I run into a classmate, and oftentimes I do, that's behind the counter, we'll chit chat, how's things going, how's the grandkids, you've been on vacation. Here you go, John, you're all set. End of story. If you know the clerk, if you're fine.
Well, I don't know anybody, so do I take you
Yeah,
with me?
You know what kind of people.
I don't know
What kind
anybody
of
in
people.
in the
It's like when you
DMV.
get pulled over by a cop, they go, oh, it's you.
Well, you can do that up where we are, because I think there's only like one or two in the town.
The registry is hit or miss, though. I mean, I just did a transaction last week, and the guy cut me a break. I was very lucky, okay, because I didn't have a document I needed technically to
What
get.
did you need?
I needed something that could not be produced. I needed a letter from somebody who is dead, okay? So couldn't produce the letter. And
Why would you need a letter to drive your car?
I
No,
was
it's not.
trying to get a 5-digit number plate transferred onto my car.
I got you.
All right, and you need certain documents, if it's an estate, you need certain documents to
Yeah.
do that. And I was missing one document because the document is just flat out right impossible to
And the
obtain.
clerk let it go.
And the clerk let it go. And he told me, I'm not supposed to do this, he said, but we have to be reasonable. He said, there's no way that this document can be produced. And I thought, and I was very grateful. And I said, thank you very much, because it could have gone in the other direction, and there wouldn't have been anything I could do about it, okay? Because the guy behind the counter holds the power, right? And so I was very, very fortunate, because as I say, it could have gone the other way, and I've had situations like that where it did go the other way. So,
Well, kindness
yeah.
is the best way to go. Just kill them with kindness.
Well, I think, again, people, you appreciate it when you get a bureaucrat who is reasonable and shows discretion.
First of all, you don't call them a bureaucrat.
Well, there are bureaucrats. Anybody who works in a public position
I can just
is
see
a bureaucrat.
Sam walks up to the counter, and first thing he says to the guy, hey, you're putting on, I see you tanking out there, but you enjoying your pizza?
Yeah.
That's not a good way to start off the conversations.
Well, actually, it was a pretty good experience. I mean, I didn't spend.
How you doing, fatso?
Yeah, right. Well, he wasn't fat, but the Lowell Registry. The last 2 or 3 times I've been to the registry has been a much better experience than 30 or 40 years ago. I can tell you. I was in and out of that place in about 20 minutes, and I can remember in the old days when it was on. Where was the registry there before it was in Chelmsford?
I didn't remember the registry ever being in Chester. It's
It
always
was.
been in
It
Lowell.
was in Chelmsford for a while.
Wow. That the back
But
of the last century?
It was, I think it was Dutton Street. I can remember,
Yeah.
I
like
can
his
remember
engines.
lines snaked out the building all the way around the neighborhood. And, if it's the middle of winter, it's not a good thing, right? So that's,
Sam,
no.
you're a license plate guy. Recently, I got rid of a car, so I had to get rid of the license plate.
yeah,
So I'm talking to one of my colleagues. I said, I got to spend the morning down the registry to turn this plate in. I hate going down there. because you just sit in the line to shove this plate
Right,
in a box. And she says, oh, you can do that online.
yes,
I says, really?
yeah.
She says, do this. So she walks me through all the little buttons, and I get rid of the plate online, and it says, just throw the plate away, put the plate in recycle.
Yeah, it depends on the type of plate and all kinds of things, whether you can
So I was
keep it or
happy to
have
do that.
turn it in. Yeah, it's, well, because I think the thing is that so many of the transactions now are online that it has decreased the amount of people that have to actually go to the registry to get stuff done. In the old days, you had to go down there to renew your license.
Yep.
You know, now you don't have to do that. So there's a number, like John says, there's a number of transactions that you can do online, and that takes a lot of the burden off the actual registry building itself. But I find that the people are generally nicer and more accommodating than they were 35 or 40 years ago. They were nasty people back then, okay? And now they seem to be a lot nicer.
Yeah, I always
Yeah.
lucked out when I went to the registry.
Well, because you know the folks, right? But it's different if you don't know the
Oh,
people.
this guy's from Chelmsford, and he doesn't have an exhaust fan in his bathroom. I'm going to take care of this guy.
Yeah, right, exactly. There you go.
I haven't had that much contact with the registry.
How was
I-
registered? Now, you just got a new car, Ev. How did you get the plates? Did the dealer do it for you?
Yes,
So you-
I didn't have to worry about the plates, we transferred them.
Yeah, because you kept
I
the
had,
same
I
plate.
had, I had a vanity plate, we transferred it.
Right.
I own the vanity plate, I pay for it.
I understand, but the dealer did it all.
Yeah,
The
because they
car
said they
dealer.
have an office there that they can do
Nice.
that.
But
And-
the dealers now can actually issue plates.
Yes.
They couldn't do that yet.
Yeah, well, they asked that question.
Right.
And then if we sell vehicles, we have to be careful because we're not sure if you can transfer the vanity plates from one to another. I tried, I think you can with vanity, but you can't with other plates. I tried to transfer the plate
just-
that was
I
on
just-
my father's car to my name, and I couldn't.
I just did it with a 5-digit plate from my brother to me.
But that's a vanity. So we just.
No, that's
No, it's a
that's what they
5-digit.
call a reserved, passenger reserved
Oh,
plate.
well, we have the one from Glenn's aunt,
Right.
and we're going to try to figure out how to do that.
That's a 5-digit.
Yes.
I can tell you how to do it because I just did it.
Oh, good. Well, then, well, Glenn's going to talk to you about that stuff anyway.
Afterwards,
And he
right.
he went into the lottery to get the special ones, and he has a
Hmm.
special one, like a 3-digit, on his
I
convertible.
get a kick out of they fake out the 1R2. That's not a 3-digit plate in my
No,
mind.
a 3-digit plate is 3 numbers.
That's
I
right.
understand, but they talk
Okay.
about it differently
It's a
because
3-digit plate.
He has-
No, it's
yeah,
not.
it's 1619.
R16
He
is
was
not a 3-digit
thrilled.
plate.
That's a vanity.
So speaking of cars,
I agree.
there was an article I sent from everybody from Hot Cars magazine, and I thought that was interesting because we have a tendency to talk about cars
And
more
I didn't
often.
read it. I got to read it.
Yeah, and so the question was, what is the longest running sales of a vehicle, of a certain type of
nameplate.
vehicle?
The nameplate.
Yeah, and
And
that's
I-
a Suburban. And when
about-
it started, and the close,
But a Suburban isn't a make,
Oh,
it's a model.
Wait a second.
what's a Chevy? It's a
Start
Chevy.
over, Evelyn. Sam
me start
talked
at
over
the
you. What
beginning.
happened?
The article was the oldest car model still in production debuted 90 years ago. That was the Chevy Suburban. It's still in production, but it's different, obviously. It has changed over the years on what it looks like and how much it can
Okay,
haul.
So the article says model.
Yes.
All right, but it's not make, because the Ford started in 1903.
No, I got that, but it's the model of
Right.
whatever it is that's
And the
still
Dodge
there.
started in 1914, so those are older. But those are
Dodge-
makes, not models.
Dodge
Yes.
dick.
I got it. Okay.
So the other thing, it goes, who comes in second? Well, who comes in second is the Ford 150 truck.
How long have they had 150s?
I'm going to tell you in a minute because I got to find it. I had it and then I don't know what I did with it. It's a long article. I think that's it. And it started out having wood. Or one of them was wood one time that
Well,
they
the
had wood.
wagons were all woodies. The
So-
bodies were made out of wood.
That's that. Let me see.
I
Oh,
define-
other long-running nameplates. And the
Models.
Ford F-Series pickup is a close runner-up, 1948. But I read an article recently that they were recalling the F-150s for some reason. Do you know that?
No.
So that was one. And the Jeep was the other one that they talked about in this article. Launched in 1951 was the Land Cruiser. And
Toyota.
that's still out there.
Yep.
And not as old as the Suburban, the Porsche 911 was introduced in 1964, and they haven't missed a model since. So this was an article that the source was Chevrolet, and I just thought it was interesting since we do talk about vehicles often. And
No, I'm sorry, I didn't read it. I will read it afterwards, though. You sent that to us, right?
Yes.
Okay, all right. I've been busy the last couple of days. I haven't been very good about my messages, so.
so anyway, so I'm trying to get, my youngest son has like a camera that's on the end of a very long cord. And so I'm trying to get it so I can pick it up, so I can see down a very deep hole and see what's in there. So we'll see there before. So I got to do this because he's going to work.
So time is short, kids are going back to school. You got any plans before everybody goes back to school?
Well, I thought I was going to have plans to take 3 kids up to the lake, but then they have their own school, and they made it mandatory that they had to go today
In Chelmsford.
in Pelham.
Oh, in Pelham, okay.
And so I was going to take the 3
Can you
youngest
drag
ones.
that mic a little closer to you, kiddo?
I was going to take the 3 youngest up overnight to Chelmsford and just for fun, and they were excited about that because we can go on the jet ski and the boat and go out to dinner, do whatever it is we want. But they were mandated, which we didn't know about, they were mandated that they have to go do a greet and meet or meet and greet, however
that
you want to
was
talk about
nice.
it, at
Today?
school. Yes, this afternoon. If it was this morning,
Oh,
I would
really?
have
They're
waited.
doing it in the afternoon? That's unusual.
Well, I have no idea, but they made
Yeah.
it mandatory because they weren't going to go.
When does Pelham start?
Well, they're in private school, so they start.
Oh,
They
okay.
start the
There
first
you
week
go.
in September.
Oh, all right.
Chelmsford starts next week. I did not look up Lowell and all of the other communities where this.
I think Lowell's starting before
Goes.
Labor Day. Somebody told
A
me.
lot
that.
of them start before Labor Day because they want to be able to get out early.
The teachers would rather start before Labor Day, I can tell you that.
You have to also watch for Jewish holidays.
Holidays, right.
We ended up with a problem one year where we started school on one of the Jewish holidays and they couldn't go. So
I
we had a
remember
big
that.
deal.
I think all this is going to go away.
Which
What?
thing?
The holidays?
This holiday business is going to go away. Because the other religions are going to buck up, like the Catholics and the Muslims. They're all
Well,
going
we
to buck
dealt,
up. We
we
want
dealt
our
with
holiday
that.
too.
We did deal with that at that time. And so as long as we had it on the calendar and somebody was aware of it, then we
covered.
didn't have a problem. And you had different
I
other.
say it's going to go away because a lot of schools, they're going to celebrate a holiday and there's still class.
So what happened in the policy that we had at the time, it said that if you have a religious holiday where you can't go to school because of the restrictions that you have, then you would not be counted absent and you would not be held
They
accountable
still
for the
have
work.
class. They still have class.
Yes, for everybody else.
So that's why I say I think the holidays are going to
So what we did was we allowed them not to go without penalty.
Well, do they have to bring in a note from the pastor saying they went to services?
No.
No, because generally speaking, most of it's not that prevalent,
You're on the honor system there.
and there's not a lot of kids that do this. We knew about, Christianity and about, the Jewish religion and
So much about
Muslims.
the honor system.
Well, I'm just
when it-
telling you, this was a while
When it
ago.
comes to sick days and administration, you want to tear your head off.
Well, right now, we're talking about kids going to
I go out to
school.
dinner with guys, retirees from school departments from different places around Lowell. And they just, I used to do this. And Sally would say, I forgot to mark that day down, so you got that free. You took a day off. You just got it. Didn't tag a sick day or a personal day or nothing.
Oh, so we've talked about all those articles pretty much that I sent everybody. We didn't get involved too much in politics.
Sorry, I didn't read any of them,
We're waiting.
which is unusual. I usually do read them.
Well, usually Bob reads them too, but I mean, and they're going to Bob if he's interested when if he has his phone. We have about 4 minutes left, roughly 4.5 minutes.
I got no jade.
No Jay yet? Well, I have plenty of stuff we can talk about.
Oh,
So,
I'm sure Jay will
do we want to take any bets as to whether he'll show up?
Oh, he'll be.
well, he said he was coming.
I think he's going to be here.
Yeah, he's good with that.
But he could do a Rodney Elliott. He could be on his way to a meeting in Boston.
Could be.
Oh, yeah, supposed to be in Lowell
You know,
today.
Jay's pretty reliable.
Well, he had a reminder from you, and he had one from
No,
Ed.
Rodney's done it a couple of times, but he was supposed to be here. And he calls me from the car. John, sorry, I'm down in Burlington, stuck in traffic, and it just dawned on me I'm supposed to be on your show, so.
Well, there you go.
Well, anyway, but there are a lot of topics, if we want to talk about them. I think that the biggest one is this, is the ICE thing. They're going to add a lot more people to the ranks and hire more people. If
ICE meaning
cities-
immigrations and customs
Yes, if
enforcement.
cities that have illegal aliens in their custody because they committed a crime and they're not legally here, if they were to be given to ICE, I don't think you'd see as much issue
You wouldn't.
as what you currently have.
wouldn't, because
But they're
they would-
releasing
They wouldn't be looking-
criminals
they
into
wouldn't-
the
they
community.
wouldn't be
I don't think
looking-
that's
yeah,
correct.
They wouldn't be, well, what has never been satisfactorily explained to me is the notion of sanctuary cities. I don't understand why that's legal, because if you have people in your city that are here illegally, have gotten into the country illegally, there's no documentation, and federal law says that they can be deported, okay, because of that, then how is it legal for a sub-jurisdiction like a city or a state to say, we're going to protect these people from federal law enforcement? I don't understand that. Somebody has to explain that to me. I don't get it.
Well, all they're trying to do is enforce whatever the laws are. I think there's a lot of problems with some of the things they're doing.
Dr. Lang is here.
Good.
There you
So
go.
Jay's here.
4 minutes early.
And, well, we'll continue to talk about this until he gets in. And but to try to keep it simple, you have laws, and they've always been there, and other presidents have done exactly the same thing. But because it's this president, we seem to have an issue of some sort. I think that the logical thing is you turn the people over that are illegal and have committed crimes, you don't have the same issue that you would have for them to have to go out into the community
Right.
to look for them. I don't think some of the things they do are 100% correct, but, you know, it's something that we're currently dealing with on a very large scale.
Nothing is perfect. Police execute warrants all the time and they go to the wrong house. It happens all the time. Nothing is perfect, okay?
Right.
Nothing is perfect.
Now, the other piece that is of interest to me is the fact that there's a lot of protests out there. Are these really people that are protesting? No. These are people that are paid to protest. And they talked about getting actors and actresses to do the same thing, and my sister told me this
How
morning...
much are they
that-
paying?
I don't know, but my sister told me this morning that there was an ad
I'll do it.
out there that she saw that they were
Kelly,
trying to
he had blue or
solicit.
something.
Just hold up
Pardon
a
me?
sign, $30 an hour, no
well-
problem.
Well, anyway, so when we take a look, not everyone, but when we take a look, everybody should be thinking, are they paid or are they real people that really feel the way they do?
Is it live or is it Memorex?
I saw it was either yesterday or the day before on the news, I forget. But anyway, they interviewed somebody that was protesting, and I don't even remember what the subject was. But they said to the guy, he was holding up the sign, and the news person said, "What does that mean? What does the sign mean?" And the guy says, "I haven't got a clue," right? And he said, well, I'm being paid. He actually admitted it. He said, "I'm being paid to be out here." So it is true. There are people who are paid to protest, and they got one who actually said that. But I thought it was funny when they asked the question. The guy had no idea
What he was protesting?
why he was protesting, or what he was protesting, but he didn't care because he was an employee at that point, right?
Well, the new contract says you're not allowed to talk.
What
If you
contract?
talk to the media,
You don't
they
get
don't
paid.
pay you.
So what I was going to say was my
Oh, for
sister
a
saw,
paid protester, you mean?
Say goodbye, we're going to break.
well, we'll pick it up briefly, so you know what I'm going to
We're
say.
going to break, bye.
Any Mercedes-Benz that has over 60,000 miles on
Yeah,
needs service a lot.
it does.
Made me think of you.
It does. Yeah, that's why I got rid of it. It was, I think I bought it, it was about, I don't know, it was probably between 60 and 70,000 miles on it. And, it was fine
I know people would like to cut my head off.
No, we seem to be fine. We're right at the top.
There you go.
And none of us have afros, so that's a good thing. Hi,
Oh, that's
welcome
good.
back to City Life. I'm Evelyn Thoren. I'm your host for the next 59 minutes, roughly. Sam Chase, my co-host. Bob Hoey is still not with us on our program, but we hope that he'll be back soon. He seems to be doing better and improving. And our guest this morning is Dr. Jay Lang, who is the Superintendent of Schools in Chelmsford. Welcome, Jay.
Good morning, Evelyn.
Yes,
Good morning, sir.
early.
Morning.
And
Got it.
nice and cool out there, which we were talking about, nice sleeping weather.
Yes.
And among other things that we were chatting about, sort of off this camera, but not necessarily off of Facebook. So I sent you a whole lot of list of all kinds of different things, but we're in good shape to start school.
We are, yeah, no, this is, I was saying before we came on here, this is my favorite time of year, not just for the going back to school, but fall is my favorite season. So I like the weather, I like getting back into a routine with the kids and schedules and things like that. Schools are in very good shape. We're ready for the staff to come back next Monday. We have a full day of orientation on Monday with all the staff. They get to come in, get some updates for the year, get their classroom set up, and then the kids start arriving on Tuesday. So we go back right before Labor Day. So our kids come Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and then we do a 4-day weekend for the Labor Day weekend. And we come back at it with a regular schedule that following Tuesday.
I
So
think
we're
that's a
ready to
great-
go.
That's a great schedule. You do your 3 days, you get all that administrative
Yeah, even the
junk out of
routines
the
with the
way,
kids,
right?
they get to tour the schools, they get to know their schedules a little bit. You pass out the books, the materials, things along those lines, do all your meet and greet activities. 3 days is a nice way to kind of have the kids get in and get back into the routine a little bit.
Yep.
Everyone enjoys the 4-day weekend, and then we come back with a 4-day week, and then we gradually get up to the 5-day weeks. But no, that's actually worked out pretty well for us. I
Beautiful.
think we moved to going back right before Labor Day about 7 years or so ago.
And it was controversial at the time, I remember.
It was always controversial.
Yeah, there had been a mix. I was just more familiar, coming up from my previous district. We'd always gone back the Monday before Labor Day And I like that. It also builds in a couple of extra snow days towards the end of the year. I'd rather get the days in earlier in September as opposed to towards the end of June. And I think after we actually did it for a year or two, it's an adjustment to people's
yeah.
vacation schedules.
Yes.
But they get it down, and actually, I almost feel like we get a good little pre-vacation in June, because we've been getting out, anywhere between the 12th and the 16th or so.
It was early
So you
this
get a
year,
couple of
wasn't it?
weeks at the end of June. Yeah, you really feel like you get a
Yeah.
little extra holiday before the 4th, because
What
once
makes
the,
it better for summer?
once the 4th
Yeah.
hits, I feel like the summer's just flying by.
So as far as staffing goes, are we fully staffed? Do you have vacancies? Is there anything relative to curriculum, everything in place, supplies?
Yeah, so I'll start with staffing and then kind of work our way through. On the staffing front, we were fully staffed up until last week. We had a couple of last-minute resignations that we weren't counting
for.
on. Yeah, so we had a couple of teachers end up resigning. I think one is going to take a leave and the other is going to go work in a different district. So we're actively looking to fill those two positions, but just to have two left isn't too bad.
And what are they in?
We need a seventh grade science teacher over at McCarthy.
There you go, Evelyn, right up your alley.
So we got a long-term sub right next to me. And then we also need a math science teacher at Parker in sixth grade. So those are the two openings we're trying to fill. Fortunately for us, we'd actually gone through the hiring process earlier in the spring and summer for similar positions, so we already have a pool of candidates who have applied previously.
Good.
So they just need to do some reaching out and another round of interviews, but I'm hoping by Friday that those will be solidified, so that staffing-wise, we really should be in very good shape going into the school year. We didn't have too much turnover. We only had 9, I believe, retirements this year, so we didn't have a significant number of positions to fill. We got out early last March and had most of them actually filled before we left for April vacation, so that was very good for us. As I indicated, the buildings are in good shape. We toured them the other night. The cleaning crews over the summer have done a great job getting them ready. We had a lot of capital projects that were completed or are just about completed in the schools this summer. So there was a lot of physical activity taking place. All of our, as a district, we still purchase all the back-to-school supplies for the families so that the families don't have to go out and scramble and buy all the stuff for the kids for September. So all those supplies came in over the summertime. And actually, when you walk around the schools, it's almost like a mini little Staples. You see all the boxes in the hallways and stuff like that with the kids' supplies. But no, it's a fun time of year. I really enjoy the fall. Again, I said weather-wise, I love it. It's my personal favorite season. But just getting back into a little bit of a routine. We're ready. We're ready for next week.
Well, I've got 2 grandchildren that are actually changing schools.
Oh, really?
So that's a little bit traumatic thing. My older granddaughter tends to be a little more anxious about things, so she's going from Parker to McCarthy.
Okay.
That's a big transition.
That's a big one.
6th to
7th,
7th.
yep.
Right. And so she went through, today's Thursday, was it yesterday or
tours on Tuesday.
Tuesday. She went Tuesday and did the tour, and she's going back today for a second tour by invitation of a teacher that is a friend of ours.
Okay.
And my wife thought that was a good idea, so Charlotte would at least get to be familiar with one person, and
Sure.
she already knows the person. So, and I thought, that's a great idea, and it speaks to the type of person you have working in the schools. That this teacher would volunteer and say, if she's a little anxious, why don't you bring her by Thursday and we'll talk to her and so forth. And I thought that was great. And Violet's going from Byam to Parker.
To Parker for 5th grade.
So that's quite a transition too. So they're both a little bit nervous about that.
I think there's always apprehension.
Yeah.
And I mean, I think that's just,
So-
human nature.
Yeah, I haven't talked to my granddaughter, because 80 is the same age as Charlotte.
Yeah, she's going into the 7th
She
grade.
sounded like in June that she was kind of excited about the fact she was going, and she was going to check out this, she was going to check out that. And so we'll see where that goes, whereas her sister's going over to Neshoba. And so there's that. And then my oldest grandson, I think.
What's Neshoba? Oh, the tech, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Hello,
It's
McFly.
okay, it's still early. We haven't had any protein.
Yeah, you're right.
And then my oldest grandson will be a junior.
Wow.
Victoria will be at the sophomore in college.
Yeah, I know.
And then his brother will be a sophomore. And he's quite involved in a lot of sports.
And you
things.
have a couple that are finishing college.
Mine are
right?
all done.
That's why you're so happy. Okay.
We had our last tuition
That's why you
payment
can
last
live life. I remember when
Wow.
they were in high school and stuff, and you had to stagger how you do this show because you were involved with them getting to school and all the
Yeah,
different
there
activities.
was a lot of drop-offs and things.
Yeah.
No, my youngest actually just graduated from Stonehill this past spring.
In?
And, well,
What's his major?
we switched it up a little bit, but he finished with history and education. So he is going to teach as well. He actually got accepted into the Merrimack one-year master's program, the fellowship program that they have. So he's going to do that this coming year, get his master's done, and then probably look to teach next September. But, yeah, we're very happy for him. And so all three of my boys are now through college.
Great.
Yeah,
What an accomplishment.
I know. It's a different,
Well, we're
it moved quickly.
yeah. Well, that's the thing.
It flies, you know.
It's going to be even faster now.
Yeah.
The older that they get. I mean, so we had, which I haven't talked to you. I mean, we had a new baby in May, so that makes 9. So they range now in age from 3 months to 19
Okay.
years old.
Yeah,
So-
you've got quite the gamut there.
Yes, and they're all different, which is,
Right.
in some cases it's nice, and in some cases it could be challenging because of, the different choices that are being made. And currently we have 2 of them driving, but by the end of the school year, we'll have 2 more.
Wow.
So, not all in the same family, but we do have, everybody's pretty much local.
Yeah.
So it's
Well,
kind
you're
of,
fortunate for that.
oh, yeah. So,
Can I just say one thing on to Sam's point?
yes.
When you originally kind of brought up the whole transitions, that is actually something that the schools and I think the staff and the parents have recognized over the last number of years. We actually added a transition with our 2 middle schools because each used to just be grades 5 to 8.
Right.
But when Parker went to be 5, 6 town-wide and then McCarthy 7, 8 town-wide, we added one more transition for kids. And that 6th to 7th grade year is 6th to 7th is a particularly tricky year.
That's tough, and I just have to say, from just as an outsider looking in, I think the realignment, as you just mentioned it, 5 and 6 and 7, I think it's worked very well. I mean, I've heard
Yeah.
a lot, I talked to some of the teachers, and of course, they'll grumble if they don't like it.
Right.
And they all have said, and a couple of them have said, we were skeptical at first, but this has actually worked out better than we thought it would, and people seem to be pretty happy. So, for example, at McCarthy, now that you've just got the 2 grades, is there enough space in the school to accommodate? They don't have space problem there, do they?
No, so interestingly enough, but just
Yeah.
to that point, like we actually really put an emphasis on the transitions and making sure that the students really felt extra supported when they were making these transitions. So the schools put a lot of time into like these tours that you mentioned, actually having guidance counselors come in earlier to help kids with their schedules to make sure that all of the things that
That's a
sometimes
good
have to
idea.
get done,
Yeah.
the first day or 2 of school to try to take away some of that nervousness or anticipation. So we have actually made that a point of emphasis. If you think about it, 5th and 6th grade and then 7th and 8th grade always had a different teaming model.
Yes.
So in grades 5 and 6, it was 2 teacher teams. So one would teach ELA and social studies, the other would teach math and science. But then when you get to 7th grade, everything is by discipline. So then you move to a 4-person team. So you had a dedicated math teacher, a science teacher, a social studies teacher, and an English teacher. So it was almost kind of made to kind of have that to have that split. McCarthy has plenty of space right now
Good.
because that used to be the old high school.
Right.
So it actually has different spaces we can configure. And for your granddaughter that's going to McCarthy, if you've actually mastered getting around Parker, McCarthy's going to be a snap because
Well-
Parker is actually the tough school to navigate. It's just a kind of a complicated setup. At McCarthy, everything basically works around a square. It's pretty easy to figure out where you're going.
It's funny you say that because that's exactly what Charlotte said. When
Yeah.
I asked her, I said, what do you think? She said, McCarthy's a big box.
It is.
She said, that'll be easy, and she actually had a map.
Yeah.
And the other thing I noticed, she had a schedule, and I'm looking at her schedule, and it looks like, I don't know what the correct terminology is today. In the old days, when I was in high school, we would have called it rotating blocks.
Yeah.
She doesn't have the same subject at the same time every day.
Correct. It's just a rotating schedule.
I like that.
Yeah.
When I was in high school, we had that rotating block, and I really enjoyed having that, the same subject every day is,
Right.
Yeah,
you have the same teacher, you have
Yeah.
the same group of kids who are in class with you, but you're not having, English first period every single day.
Exactly.
And the teachers also like it too, because you
Yeah.
get a little bit of variety with the kids in front of you. And teachers will tell you, if I'm teaching 3 classes a day, of, the same content, by the time I get to the second or the third, I've kind of tweaked things a little bit, so everyone gets a little bit of a different lesson. So you might not always want to be the first person to get the lesson. Sometimes it might benefit you to be the second or the third. And again, it just gives a little bit of a rotation for the kids.
I hadn't thought about that. That makes perfect sense.
Yeah, so that they just call it a regular rotating schedule. But when you get to Parker in 5th grade and right through the middle school and high school, they have a rotating schedule.
Right.
At the high school, it's actually a little more complex because they rotate and they drop. So the kids actually do 5 classes a day, but technically they're taking 7 classes. So you drop a class each day to be able to rotate. So you basically get through your whole schedule in 4 days at the high school.
That is exactly.
It's a little bit more complex, but the
That's-
kids get to take
yeah.
more classes. They get to take
That's
more
how it was
content.
done. I was in high school in the early 60s, and that's exactly what my high school did. They
Right.
We
followed
didn't do that.
They followed that schedule, and I loved it.
Yeah.
We had the old way of doing
I thought
things.
it was great.
And when I
You know.
taught school, it was
Yeah.
just standard, the way it used to be.
Well, you went to a
English-
private school, that's different.
Right, but when I taught
Yeah.
school, I didn't. I taught in a public school system, and they didn't have that.
And they didn't have rotating
No.
block? Oh.
No, that I can, no, I didn't, no, we had this, I had the same classes at the same time every day. And then sometimes you had a double class, because I taught
Right,
chemistry.
right.
And so
Like
that
a
would be the
lab.
lab day.
Right.
And then the days that we didn't have those labs, they would have a study or something
Mm-hmm.
or other. By the time I left, I wasn't there a very long time, but by the time I left, I had kids basically using my class as a study hall when I didn't have classes, because it was quiet. And then they'd ask questions. So it was a very interesting scenario that was developing as, that I never had a chance to further explore because I had children and we moved out of state. So we do have, when we're talking about the buildings, I did notice that you've expanded the driving in front of McCarthy. Now, is that
Yeah.
for
Yes.
parking, for buses, or is it so that when people pick up, there's more space? I mean, what was
Yeah,
the
if you want,
reasoning
I can
behind
actually
it?
just kind of give you some highlights of like school by school, some of the changes we made this year.
Oh, good.
But at, I can do this off the top of my head, so you got to bear with me.
Yes, but you're
at-
good at this.
Well, at McCarthy, as you mentioned, one of the ones that everyone is going to see is additional parking. We were able to create 42 or 43 more parking spaces out in the front of the school. So McCarthy is just very tight. You've got the, kind of the athletic area, I call it, out in the back, where all your field space is. There's parking there. On the left side of the building, if you're looking at it, is staff parking, and oftentimes parents would park to go to a meeting or things along those lines. You've got the police station right next door, and they have the community room where people try to have meetings. But if you've gone to, say, one of their meetings at night, sometimes people are parked on the side of the road. It's just, it's tough for parking purposes. So one of the things we did a few years back at Byham and Harrington was actually cut into the island that's in the front of the school, some additional parking spaces. And we looked at that at McCarthy and said, we think we can do this there as well. So that was one of the town capital projects this summer. We actually just cut into the island. It's not going to be a lane because there is a walkway that juts out in the middle of it.
I saw that.
So it's really just going to be for parking. It just got paved last Monday, so we're going to give it about a week or so before they put the stripes down for the parking spaces. But that's going to be great parking during the day for like parents coming into a meeting, someone needs to drop something off.
Good idea.
But then after hours, we're joining the sidewalk on the right. If you come down between the school and the police department, on the right, we're actually having a sidewalk be built all the way from the back of the courts that's going to then integrate to that front of McCarthy.
Good idea.
So technically, you could park there, you could also have it be overflow parking for the fields. You could walk over to the police department if you're having a meeting in the community room. So that's just going to be some extra parking at McCarthy, which I think was much needed. And it wasn't too bad of a capital project to do. we took advantage of the fact that they were doing the parking lots over at the library and the police department, so we just incorporated it into that bid. Also on site at McCarthy, if you drive through the parking lot, you'll see the old tennis court area. A lot of the trees have been removed to open up the space, but we're actually in the process right now of putting in new basketball courts, a couple of street hockey rinks, and tennis and pickleball. So that's actually being leveled now. I think the first layer of pavement is going down next week. But between now and the end of September, that project will be completed. But that's going to be a great new recreational space for school use during the day, but then community use after hours. So that whole area with the field is just going to be a great venue for the town. That happened at McCarthy. If you recall, last summer, we've started to add some secure entryways at our school. So the high school has one. McCarthy, if you've been there, they have one. We use that model to basically replicate at the remaining 5 schools that didn't have kind of a secure entrance and whole visitor management processing. So that actually is being constructed at the other 5 remaining schools in the town. Byham, Harrington, South Row, Center, and Parker. Even though Parker may come offline in a few years with the new school building project, we wanted to make sure they have the same safety protocols for as long as they're going to be open as all the other schools. So those are actually just, they're probably about 90% complete now. Over the next 2 weeks, those will be completely finished, but that's going to be a whole new secure entry protocol to the schools with visitor management, and that'll streamline everyone's experience as they enter the school. So that was another kind of huge project we did this summer. Over at, actually, we wouldn't really think about this, but in each of our elementary schools, they use so much, not only during the school day, but after hours for like recreational leagues and things like that. We made the basketball courts more accessible, so now the basketball poles are all motorized, so the heights of the baskets can come up and down based on how big the kids are, because a lot of times you have the little, I forget exactly what they call them, but like the littlest kids will start at 6 or 7 years old. Obviously, can't hit 10-foot rim, so we want to be able to lower those for their play. We had a couple of schools that got new gymnasium floors. I know Harrington's school was completely, it's actually a beautiful hardwood floor. That was refinished, restriped, painted, and that one looks excellent. At the high school, we completely renovated the PAVE classroom. That's one of our classrooms for our special education population. So they have some cooking facilities there. So they have brand new kitchens to be working in with, gas and electric ranges and counters and that whole kind of work experience. So that's gone over very well. We've done a lot. I'm sure I'm missing some, but we've done a lot of different projects this summer just to do smaller improvements to the schools. The town has actually done some bigger projects. I know we have some major work happening with roofs in the town. They're doing some work right now on McCarthy roof is going to be going out to bid, I believe, over the next couple of months for some work next summer. We got an MSBA grant to do the South Row roof over, so we've
That's
started
in
working on
process.
that
That was
now.
great.
That's going to go out to bid this fall to be done next summer. That's another very large project. At McCarthy, because again, we know that's a building that's going to be utilized in the years to come, regardless of what happens with the school building project. They were the last school that needed to have their boilers replaced, so those were replaced
Sorry, Jay,
this
also
summer.
part of the show. What we got today?
Lemon blueberry.
Okay.
Lemon.
Well, it's got a lemon glaze on it,
Too bad.
wild blueberries.
Yep.
You have to tell me how it tastes. I didn't taste it. It should be lemony.
Thank you.
So yeah, so like again, I think as a community, the town and the schools certainly value the properties. We try to maintain them as best we can. We're looking forward to the potential new school building project, but we realize that that's potentially going to impact one new school, and we're still going to have to be maintaining and continuing on with the other 6 schools that we have.
Are you
in the
concerned
short
at
term.
all about the potential conflict, if that's probably not the right word, but I'm going to use it anyway, the potential conflict with the new fire station construction? Because you're going to have, potentially going to have 2 projects, one right after the other, where the community is going to be asked to fund fire project, which I believe is $25 million, and then on the back of that, potentially a school project, so.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I obviously wasn't involved with the fire project. I think, the town does a very nice job of maintaining its properties. However, we haven't really, as a community, I think, overly invested in new properties.
Right.
So that's left us in a situation where all of these facilities are aging, and within a relatively short time frame, I would say the next 10 or 20 years, some pretty significant capital work is going to happen in the buildings. On the school side, I can speak to, our newest building, being the high school, opened over 50 years ago. So the other school, that was in 74. The middle schools and the elementary schools date back to the 50s and early 60s. So you've got, 70-year-old facilities that are just going to have to be updated. I think the way the timing is going to happen as far as debt service is concerned, we at least have several projects that are coming off debt service. I can't control obviously the fire stations. I think they were probably warranted as well.
Oh, no
Well,
question
they were a
about
long
it.
time in coming.
They
too.
were, they were way past due, yeah.
I think, there will be, by the time you would actually bond and start to borrow on the school project, you're talking probably 2030, 2031. So you're still 5 or 6
Okay,
years
all
away from the actual payments, right? You're going to have to approve it in 27, but you wouldn't actually start bonding it long-term until then. So I'm hoping that there's enough of a window that people will see the need. What we're trying to do is actually accomplish as much as we can with the one particular project. That's why we're looking at 3 different options that could help us longer term with our elementary enrollment, which we know is increasing, with our middle school enrollment, which we know is increasing. There's a couple of options to consider that actually would address keeping some of those other elementary schools viable for longer than if we just did a grade-for-grade replacement of Parker. But I honestly think if we don't start investing in schools at this point, you're going to have school properties that are, 80, 90, 100 years old. At some point, the town is going to have to build some new facilities, and as costly as it is now, it's never going to get cheaper.
Oh, no. Good God,
So,
no.
the cost is only going to continue to rise. I think we're fortunate that, we're in the MSBA pipeline for funding, and if our reimbursement rate right now is 52%, so if the state is willing to partner with us on a new school property, and approximately 50% is reimbursed of all the reimbursable costs that are allowed through the state, I'm hoping that that's appealing to the town, that the town meeting reps and then ultimately the town, when they go to vote to support the project, will realize that that is a worthwhile long-term investment financially for the town.
I hope so. I mean, because the school infrastructure is very important, obviously, and in terms of your overall value of the town and attractiveness, for people wanting to locate here and property values and things like that, apart from the educational aspect, you've got to keep up your schools. You have to.
Right.
Otherwise, if you don't, it's just a downward spiral.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Well, I think that the building projects, we tried quite a bit, 20 years ago? It, people just wouldn't pay, but I think that the demographics have changed in the town. I think that you have younger people in the town. Doesn't mean that they have more money. It just means that maybe the mindset's a little bit different, and maybe the focus or the priorities in their lives may be a lot different. But then again, it may not be that at all, because when I was on the school committee, we were trying to get the other major building projects done. It was people in my age bracket that didn't have kids in the school system that were supporting it more than it was the younger people, because they had more stability within their income.
Plus, they might have had grandchildren in the system like we do.
Well, that's why I stayed on school committee, was because
Well, the way
2
I
kids stayed in the town, and we knew that at some point there'd be kids.
And, it's a good deal, if you just look at it from a dollars and cents standpoint. So I'll take my daughter's family as an example. They have 3 children. They're all in the public school system. So the average per pupil cost is what, 16, 17,000 a year? All right. Well, they don't pay, let's say it's 15 to make the calculation. Well, you know what? They don't pay $45,000 a year in property tax. So they're getting a good deal, So if the whole time you have your children in school, you're paying property tax, you think it's a lot of money, and I don't mean to minimize it. Yes, it is. But if you've got 3 children in school, you are more than getting your money's worth, okay? And when they graduate and get out, then you will continue to pay that property tax, which is why your kids can go to school for that cost, all right? So if you do have children in the school system, it's a good deal.
Well, I do think
It's a good deal.
the home values are obviously impacted, and I
No
think
question.
in a positive way.
No question.
By, a good school system. We have a very good public safety system between police and fire in town.
Absolutely.
I think our DPW does an outstanding job of, again, maintaining the facilities that they have.
And the cooperation between our DPW and the schools is outstanding. I've
Well, they're
noticed
very
the
good-
last
very
2 or
good to
3
work with.
years. Absolutely.
There's less,
Yeah.
what I have noticed is there's less politics, and more of a actual team effort rather than the I aspect of things. Because people seem to want to be working together in order to achieve something. So they put aside whatever the personal issues are. Not everybody, but generally speaking, from
Well,
where
let's
I
credit-
came
let-
from
let's
and
be
where
honest.
Sam came from.
Let's be honest. Let's credit the leadership, okay? So when you were on the school committee and I was on the select board, it was downright animosity. Downright animosity, okay?
Well, there was a lot of competition.
And you had the school superintendent and the town manager who did not get along, okay? And that cascaded down to the various boards, all right? And we don't have that anymore because we have 2 people, we have Jay and we have Paul Cohen, who are reasonable people who don't put the politics at the forefront, They look at the job that they have to do, and that's the job they have to do, and that's why they're there. And you guys get along very well, and it makes a huge difference, and that cascades down towards the respective boards.
Yeah.
We do not have, it wasn't just politics, it was downright animosity, okay? And it was very, very tough, to deal with that. Very tough.
Want to read this one when you're done with your thoughts?
Yes, it is the policy to still flout federal law and deny cash payments. I'm sorry, I didn't read that correctly. Is the policy to still flout federal law and deny cash payments to enter sporting events at Chelmsford High School? Okay, so this person is not happy with the fact that the school charges a fee, I guess, for
No,
No, this is-
entering into the sports arena. If you want to go watch a football game,
Yes, you have to
you have
pay.
to pay, okay?
Right.
But how do you
So-
pay?
Yeah, so, no, I can imagine who this individual is because I've been speaking with him for about 3 years now.
There you go.
So during COVID, most school systems across the state basically moved to a cashless transaction at point of entry into
Okay.
sporting events. So.
Did you take
and
a credit card?
Yeah, oh yeah,
Yeah,
it's a
okay.
credit card type thing. So you can pre-purchase your tickets online, you can purchase them at the gate, but the other thing that it actually has done for us is honestly, we have less cash. So from a security standpoint, you used to have to go after a sporting event, particularly say a football game that would get a lot of cash coming in. That night you'd have to have multiple counters, you'd have to have it in the safe overnight, you'd have to have it deposited at the bank the next day. There were all these different steps that had to be taken with cash. So by moving to a cashless transaction system, which again is completely permissible, and other school districts across the state have moved to this. It's just been much more efficient for us as a school district. It's been a little bit more secure and safe. And again, parents, grandparents, whoever are coming to the games can just purchase their tickets online in advance. They can purchase them at the gate if they forget. They can buy a season pass if they don't want to have to do it game by game. So there are multiple options. It's just that we don't take cash at the gate anymore.
I take the viewer's point, though. I mean, he's looking at it, I think, in somewhat of a narrow fashion. So I think his position is probably cash is legal tender for all debts, public and private. He maybe is looking at it from a constitutional standpoint. But if that's an issue, and I'm not a lawyer, so I'm not going to debate that, but if that is an issue, all right, then it isn't just the schools you have a problem with. If you are paying your bills online because your vendor requires it, that's the same issue. Okay, because that vendor is not allowing you to pay cash or send a check even. He's requiring you to pay online. So there's a much bigger issue out there. I would say to that particular viewer, don't just focus on the schools. You're going to have an issue with a lot of different entities that don't accept cash. So, and at this point, nobody has sought fit to litigate it, bring it up through the courts, and there we are, okay?
Right.
So I think you're on solid ground.
Oh, thank you, Sam.
and I'm not a lawyer. Okay?
Thank you.
Yeah,
I think he's done the analysis.
yes, I think so. I think you're probably okay. Yeah.
So
No, there's more.
there's more? There more questions?
It's federal law. Just because it's convenient and more efficient for you doesn't change that. Well, sir, respectfully, we're the government, and if you don't like it, move. That's the attitude of the local governments in this area.
I
You
would
don't
ask-
like it?
I would
move.
ask the viewer to quote the statute, quote the federal law.
It doesn't make any difference.
Well, it does to me.
It's
I'm
not
gonna-
going to change.
You could make it up.
When we order death certificates right now,
John, I understand completely, but if
they
somebody...
take credit cards only. They don't take cash no more.
My problem is if somebody says it's a law,
I wanna
I
know what
want
it
them
is.
to cite it. I
So's the
don't-
165.
Okay, that's all.
So's the 165. So respectfully, sir, I know it's the law, and the government would say, if you don't like it, move. Back to Jay, thanks.
Well, unless they repeal something within the law, or if they had something that they changed temporarily within the state that they haven't repealed, and there's something we don't know about it, then there's not much you can do about what that was.
No.
Now, I lived as a school committee person, as a parent, under the cash system. And you may like the cash system, but the school systems don't, because you have the opportunity. Doesn't mean it happened, by the way, when I make this comment, but you have the opportunity that you could have somebody embezzling those funds. Because unless you have counters and you have some kind of way in which to determine how many people actually go in order to justify the amount of money that you need at the end, you don't know. So we didn't like it because you had thousands of dollars sitting in safes that a lot of people didn't know about. But if you have a game on Friday night, sometimes in those days, you didn't have your bank open on Saturday morning so that you could make the deposit. So we had, this is a while back, obviously, way before you, there were some issues with regard to that, especially if you couldn't reconcile your money, and then everybody's got to stay. Now you're paying all those people. So any of the convenience that you may feel as a result of paying for cash, you created more cost, so that in some cases, those ticket prices went up, and you paid for that privilege of paying cash, where, you shouldn't have to do that, but, the school system is not in the business of making money, but trying to make things break even, and everything has a purpose. All those fees went towards the sport program.
So I would simply say, just to close up on this issue, I've got a dollar bill in my hand. It's a Federal Reserve note. And it says on the dollar bill, this note is legal tender for all debts, public and private. Okay? So I'm guessing that that's what the reviewer is relying on. Okay? He's probably relying on that statement, okay, that's on the currency. All right? So,
Well, what does he say to a Coca-Cola machine?
again.
Some of them take cash.
Yeah, some of them take cash. However, this note is legal tender for all debts, public and private, all right? So, something backs that up, I would assume,
How does he shove that into a pocket
all right?
reader?
I'm just saying, that's what the federal
Like
government,
I said,
federal government is telling us,
like I said,
okay?
it's everyone's favorite time of the show.
Yep,
So I'm going to do this. Your mics are off, so they can't hear you as good as they normally can. If you want an announcement on the show, real easy, send me a text. That's my email, and happy to put it out there. Every Friday in lovely Lowell, Massachusetts, thanks to community teamwork, there's a farmer's market at 350A Dutton Street. So if you want some nice fresh vegetables, that's the place to go. Francisco Maldonado, he's having a cookout this weekend, a barbecue. Pretty cool idea. He's going to have it at his house. So Voice for the Neighborhood, Lowell City Council District 8, that's bunk. If you're hungry this Saturday and you know Cisco, head over to his house. He lives at 101 West Janess Street in lovely Lowell, Massachusetts. He's going to have a barbecue over there. Bring a lawn chair or a blanket, side dishes. You can bring a side dish if you like, and looks like a fun event. If I'm in town, I think we're going to the beach to watch the angry seas, but if I'm in town, I'll be there. Coming right along is this weekend, Tingsborough's Block Party. Saturday, August 23rd, from 11 o'clock until the fireworks at dusk. Have a good time out there. Wishing you the best weather for that day. District 3 in lovely Lowell, Massachusetts, Belvederians. They're going to have a debate and hosted by the Belvedere Neighborhood Association District 3 City Council Candidates Forum. And Corey's going to be there. Corey Belanger will be there. Dan Finn, Aaron Gendron, and Belinda Duran. They'll all be there. I think Belinda Duran's a guest tomorrow on City Life. It's August 27th when this is going to happen. So it's coming up real quick. It's a week from, it's next week. It's the Sullivan Middle School Auditorium, 150 Draper Street. It's free to get in there, and hope to see you out there. And Sexto de Jesus, he's having a business meeting. I didn't read this whole thing. I'll read it more closely. It's coming up in September at a new restaurant at the Trim Capria Brazilian Cuisine, 62 Gorham Street. That's where they used to have a variety store for a long, long time down there. But completely gutted, fixed up place. It looks pretty nice. That's going to be on September 4th. And he wants you to RSVP if you're a business. Take your phone out of your pocket. Take a picture of this slide. And Sexto would like to shake your hand and know more about your business. And it's going to be September 4th. That's it, Ev. Back over to you. Thank you for your patience.
We like short.
Yep.
But I'm sure you'll have a lot more fundraisers and different things like that once.
This is the slowest week of the year in media. You'll see them they'll have a dog show on the news. They'll be talking about pet food on the news because there is no news.
Good. We're better off if there's no news.
Once everybody goes back to school, they'll be back to banging everybody around.
Yep.
That's crazy. So we've talked about a whole pile of different things. I know that John Moses was on. He talked about the settling of the teachers' contracts.
Yeah.
Was there anything new that you added or subtracted or you had to negotiate with regard to any of the union contracts this year?
And that's good for 3 years?
Yeah, so we actually, we have 3 different bargaining units that were all up at the same time. So actually 4. Our teachers and nurses is the biggest bargaining unit. And then our professional support personnel, which is our paraprofessionals, our secretaries, clerks, lunch and recess aides are in bargaining unit 2. Bargaining unit 3 was our administrators association. And then bargaining unit 4 was our food service workers. So all 4 of them had contracts that expired June 30th. We started our negotiations right after the first of the year. So between, January and June, we actually reached agreement with all 4 groups.
Amazing.
No, we had actually very good, I think, productive negotiations on all fronts with the different groups. Overall, I think our contracts are fair. I think they jointly benefit, administration and kind of managing the contracts and the employees who are actually doing the work in the field. I think generally the tenor of discussions was excellent. It was more of a problem-solving, I think, exercise. The teachers, and that's usually the one that, can sometimes take the longest just because of the numbers that are involved, went I think 4 or 5 sessions, and we were able to reach agreement on that contract.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it wasn't contentious, I have to say. It was very collaborative on all fronts. And then the others always typically kind of fall into line right after that. But we actually agreed, ratified before the teachers left for the school year, which is what we always shoot for.
Amazing.
So that's not kind of holding over you as you start the school year. So
Right.
these are all valid July 1 through June 30 of 28. So all 4 of those are going to go for the next 3 years.
And from an attitude standpoint, to your point, I'm a teacher. I'm starting the year, and I know I've got the contract for 3
Right.
years. I don't have to think about it.
Well, you'd still be working under the old contract, so it's, because there is a misnomer that if your contract's out of cycle, you're not working without a contract. All the contracts have provisions that basically
Correct.
say you're working under the old contract
Correct.
until the new one comes in. So there should be no concern about that, but people get excited if
Oh,
they don't have a
yeah,
contract, and
exactly.
that can take on a whole different, kind of rhetoric. So I was very happy to get those behind us. We have one more bargaining unit that just happens to be off cycle. It's our building custodians. So their contract is up this coming June. So we'll negotiate with them at some point during the course of the school year, and likely a 3-year contract for them as well. But all in all, yeah, contracts are settled. Everyone's, I
Happy.
think, happy with the outcome.
Amazing.
I think everything was, appreciated financially. I feel like we can afford the deal that we agreed to. And that also gives me some parameters early on before we get into budget season, because I know exactly what my forecast for 27 and 28 is going to be from a salary perspective.
Which is,
Jay, how do you handle the kiddos who can't read? I'm sure that, I know Lowell, everybody is promoted. Nobody stays back unless your mother gives permission. Does anybody stay back in Chelmsford?
Yeah, from time to time, a student will stay back if they just are not ready to progress to the next grade level. It does happen. It doesn't happen a lot.
How do you handle these kiddos who can't read?
Well, I think it honestly depends on what grade level they're at, and, we put a
Yeah, but
major emphasis.
would you agree it happens?
Well, again, it depends on what, we try to have kids be reading on
I'm
grade
with you,
level.
but do you agree it does happen? Some kids can't read.
What are you talking about? Like what grade level?
Some kids can't read. Bobby Hoey.
Can't read at all?
Well, they have difficulties because if you're dyslexic, you have difficulties reading, or like with him, he made it
Yeah.
up as he went along.
Yeah.
Because he couldn't.
We
And
put a major,
I sit down with clients that will just say, oh, I didn't bring my glasses, you have to read me everything. There are adults. just-
John, there
they
certainly
never-
could
they
be.
never got it.
I can tell you that, like, we put a major emphasis on, K to 3, pretty developmentally significant years. And you kind of know by 3rd grade, if a child's on grade level and they're reading well. If someone is behind, we have screeners that we use, annually to try to catch kids that might need extra assistance. We have extra reading teachers beyond classroom teachers in our elementary schools to work with small groups of kids to try to get them up to speed. If it's identified that a child is still struggling, maybe they would qualify for extra reading services through like special education. So we would put them through an evaluation process to figure out if there are extra services that are needed to help that child read. There are kids that read below grade level, right? But we always put goals together with an emphasis and a focus on trying to make sure they can get to grade level. It takes some kids a little bit longer than others, but I think we actually have very good support system in effect, not just the general classroom teacher, but reading specialists and beyond to help kids get up to speed. And again, they're not slipping through the cracks. We know who the kids are because we can identify them with the different screening tools that we use. And then we line up the supports that they need to try to get them to grade level.
How about learning the keyboard? You guys teach keyboarding out there in Chelmsford?
Typing?
yes.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest with you, these days, even like the elementary school kids are pretty good at using the keyboard just because they're
They're
computer
already
literate
up to
and they're on
speed?
computers. But in middle school and high school, yes, there are more formalized, if the kids want it, typing, computer keyboarding, skills classes.
Charlotte had it either this year or the year before, or maybe both years, and the class was called keyboarding. That's what they called it.
It's a
So,
skill that, like a.
Relative to the reading situation, I've had some experience with one of my grandchildren, and the experience I had was they really focus in the 2nd grade. That's where they really start to identify if there's a problem, okay? And if there is, then you get the extra help. You go to a reading specialist, and they work with you. And I can tell you that in our case anyway, we had a good result, So the earlier you catch it, I think the likelihood in Chelmsford, correct me if I'm wrong, of a kid getting all the way to the high school and they just flat outright can't read is, I suppose it could happen, but it's just very unlikely that would happen. Would you agree with that?
Not with the child not being identified for some type of special services.
Okay,
Or like
right,
some type of
right.
a student who maybe would qualify for an IEP that has, reading is a struggle for them.
Yeah.
Yes, they may not be at grade level, but they'd be getting extra supports to try to, there's no one getting to high school
You
that
would
can't
know.
read that we don't know.
You would know. Okay,
Right.
that's what I'm getting
Right.
at.
Hey, Sam, I got 2 things I want you to read, but I'm going to remind the viewer, the government doesn't care. If you don't like it, you don't like what we're doing, move. But Sam, would you read these 2? He's made time to send them over to us, so let me get one at a time so you can see
Section
them.
10A, you want me to do that? Okay.
Yeah, on the microphone.
Okay,
Did you mic-
discrimination against cash buyers, Section 10A. This is from the Massachusetts General Laws. Okay, Section 10A, no retail establishment offering goods and services for sale shall discriminate against a cash buyer by requiring the use of a credit by a buyer in order to purchase such goods and services. All such retail establishments must accept legal tender when offered as payment by the buyer.
I'm going to zero in
Okay,
on,
that's state law.
it's a government entity exempt from this regulation.
Yeah, but
It is, we're not a retail establishment.
It's not a
And I've
retail
been- I've been
establishment.
through this with this individual previously.
It's not a
Public
re-
schools are not a retail
Correct.
establishment.
So this one here is, thank you for sending us our way.
That's very specific,
Try to
okay?
explain that, and this next one he wants us to take a look at too.
Simple, no discussion is needed at the CPS board level, Section 31, United States Code 5103, legal tender, United States coins and currency, including Federal Reserve notes and circulating notes of Federal Reserve banks and national banks, are legal tender for all debts, public charges, taxes, and dues. Okay, so that is reflected on your paper currency, as I
Well, did
read.
anybody hear about the person who paid their fine in pennies? And the town wants to charge them extra for counting the pennies. It was like $35,000 fine, he brought in $35,000 in pennies.
That's actually,
I didn't hear about that.
I did, I read about that, and that actually is an established legal precedent. That has been litigated in the past, and pennies are, yeah, they can pay in pennies. That's the legal precedent, so.
they can do it. There are probably pennies in there that are worth more than the face value.
Well,
Thank you
actually,
for the
they-
side notes, but I'm telling you, the government doesn't care. You don't like it? Move, that's their motto.
so-
Not asking you to stick up for that, but that's the fact.
So this is maybe not open a can of worms here, a Pandora's box. If the person
Well, let's
wants
not
to,
do that with 10 minutes left.
Yeah.
If
Well,
the
it has to
person
be
wants left.
litigated. I mean,
if the
it has to be
person wants
litigated.
to buy a season ticket and they want to pay cash, can they go to the central offices and, or Chelmsford High School and do that?
No, because you wouldn't come to the central offices because we don't have anything to do with the
Okay.
athletic events or
Would
even
you
like
do
the
that
high
at the high
school.
school?
No, because they don't have a mechanism to be accepting cash at this point for.
So
for
you
that.
don't have the bank thing in there anymore?
No, but I was just, no, we don't have the bank anymore. I was just suggesting if an individual didn't want to have to do a transaction at every single game, that they certainly could just buy like a season pass for that event if they were going, if that was more convenient for them.
Do they save money?
Sometimes.
They buy a season pass?
Don't hold me to it. I think there is some kind of a little discount if you
Okay.
buy a season pass, because there are also like a family pass type thing too. I just don't have the information off the top of my head.
Before I let this viewer off the hook, I don't want Jay to move because Jay has the 40th smartest school system in the state. Lowell brags, we're the 237th smartest school system in the state.
Well, I'll
So the
respond
kids
to
in-
this
The kids
also.
in Chelmsford get a much better education than the kids in Lowell. And this guy's gonna move, he loves Chelmsford the way it is, and, but he appreciates the advice. Back over to you guys, thanks.
Well, the other piece is, it isn't necessarily up to Jay. It's up to the school committee to, as far as your budget goes, and how some of that revenue comes in and how it doesn't come in. I mean, they have to accept it. And so you could
Policy,
have a
right?
policy
Right.
that states, this is what we're going to do. You can make recommendations, but in many cases, that school committee, maybe it's changed since I was on it, but we would vote on that or to approve what the recommendations were from administration, because that streamlines things, and school committee would be notified, because I would have this person probably calling me if I sat on that committee and saying, hey, can you help me do this, and can you help me do that, and then giving me the reasons why it would be, because that's what used to happen, whether it was financial or it was, a student, or there was an issue with the teacher. School committee would get those questions, they then would go to
Usually,
me.
if a resident, whether it's a parent or just a community member, if they have any questions and they approach the school committee, typically the school committee members will then just forward the complaint or the concern to me.
Yeah.
And I would respond for them, either directly to the individual, or I could give it back to the committee member, and then the committee member could, relay the information to the constituent. But, what we would look at is our existing policy, we would look at our practice. Typically, the school committee delegates to me like the actual day-to-day administrative tasks and the duties of the district. And obviously, there's nothing against our policy that prohibits this. And now, again, the other thing you have to keep in mind, a lot of this came into place during COVID, whether we like it or we don't like it. We were trying to minimize contact with things, and there were some things that came out of COVID that had a positive impact on operational issues.
So you stuck with it.
Yeah, but it actually proved that it worked. It worked for school districts. I think there was a significant concern operationally when, and again, at the time, you just had to do it because you didn't have the mechanism to do it electronically. But, I don't like to have large sums of cash touching several hands, at public events. You could also, you mentioned the theft thing, which fortunately we haven't had, but I mean, you certainly could have that. You could also have, a robbery. If someone sees a bag of money sitting around, someone could, try to take the funds. So when we actually proved that just doing the online ticketing system worked, and not only for Chelmsford, but across the MVC, that was something that was implemented and it just remained. And, as much as an individual might not like it in Chelmsford, what are you going to do when your kid is traveling to another community to go play and that other community only accepts the cashless transaction as well?
Eventually, I think the bottom line is you've got to change it within the state because pretty much everybody does what you're doing. It doesn't mean that everything is right that way, but if everybody has taken that up, in order to get rid of it, somebody has to do something about that. So we only have a few minutes left. Is there anything coming up on the docket, anything new, old, anything that or even if it's off topic, that you'd like to talk about?
Yeah, no, I guess the big things for us over the next month are really going to be, we talked a little bit earlier on about the school building project. We do have an owner's project manager, an OPM on board to help us guide us through that project. Left Field is the name of the group. We had solicited, our next big step is to get the designer on board. We had solicited proposals for that. We have 6 that we're considering right now. We're going to be meeting with the MSBA next week to shortlist the 6 down to either 2 or 3. And then we're going to be doing interviews with the firms the second week in September. So we will have a designer on board by mid-September. And then right as of, I'm going to guess, around October 1st, we're going to start working very diligently on the new school building project at Parker. So between October 1 and the end of the school year, there are going to be a lot of opportunity for school staff, school parents, just general members of the community to give us some input into the 3 different options that we're going to be looking at as part of that project, the Parker project. So there's an opportunity really for people to get involved. The town meeting reps are very involved, so we always provide updates at spring and fall town meeting. But this is going to be a great opportunity for just community members to get up to speed with what we're looking at construction-wise over the next few years. That's going to be a big point of emphasis for us for this coming year.
Tomorrow, City Life, we're going to have Cliff Krieger's going to be the host. Eileen Del Rossi will be here. Regina Fadacanti is going to be here. Melanie's off tomorrow. Melanie Gilbert from the Sun, she's not coming tomorrow. But we have City Council candidate Belinda Duran coming in at 7. So that's tomorrow, City Life. Time is short, Ev. Thank you.
Well, so that I don't forget, thank you very much for coming.
No, thank you for having me.
Yeah, we really appreciate all of the different updates. We're going to look forward to more updates on the building project. How often are you meeting currently?
Monthly. So we actually have a meeting this evening at 6 o'clock. It's at the school admin office, but it is recorded and it's shared on Chelmsford Telemedia, so community members can watch. We meet the 3rd Thursday of every month. So we didn't meet in July just because there was no activity taking place until we get the designer on board, but we're going to be meeting monthly now in the 3rd Thursday of every month. So that'll be something good to watch.
Well, I'm on the permanent building committee, so we do get updates on every single thing going on with the schools.
Yep.
We also get updates as far as the fire stations go. So they did have a design for engine 3 and 5, and 5 is challenging with
Yes.
regard to that. But the
one's
companies, 5 is South
On
Chelmsford.
27,
Oh, okay.
27, yeah.
Yeah, it's on a postage stamp lot, so they'll go up. But I want people to know that they're different companies, and so whoever you hire, work with any abutters or anyone else that's interested with regard to what's happening in the town. It doesn't have to be just school stuff. Everybody has been very good as far as their communications go. So if anybody is listening to this and you want to know what's going on with Parker, you do have connections on the Chelmsford website, is that correct?
Yes, correct.
Now, is there also links on the town website that gets you into the building project?
Well, the town website would just link you to the schools.
Right.
And then the schools, we have a whole page being dedicated to just this Parker project. So all of the links to the meetings, all the meeting minutes, any of the presentations that we've done are all going to be maintained on the Chelmsford site, but it links to the various town sites.
So everybody has a way of getting communications.
Goodbye, Ev.
Yes, I know, and I know what
Bye.
time it
See you
is.
tomorrow. Thanks for
Stay
watching.
safe, everyone.